Welcome, everyone, to the viewers. We are starting a new type of show here, and I'm joined by Denis Mashinini from the Gracie Jiu Jitsu Academy, but he does a whole bunch of different fighting styles. So, Denis, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me, Deepak. Morning.
Denis, we're very grateful that you're here. And today we're going to talk about the two main fights of this past weekend's UFC. It was UFC 313, and we had the main headline fight, which was Pereira versus Ankalaev. It was actually a championship bout, light heavyweight championship bout. Pereira was the champion coming into the fight. Ankalaev was the challenger. And yeah, maybe let's start off. What was your high-level view of the fight?
Well, I think everybody just needs to remember that those were two great fighters. Okay, it doesn't matter who won, who lost. I think both of them did a good performance. I wouldn't say their best performance, but they did a good performance. Even Ankalaev, I'm not too familiar with his fighting style, but I did kind of check up on him, and I've seen some really insane fights that he's had. So both of them, I think, were a little bit maybe uneasy about each other going into the fight, not knowing, what to expect. I saw some really good mixed martial arts in the first three rounds, especially by Pereira. Some really, high kicks, spinning back kicks. His fists were really on par. He really, he looked really good. But I must say, a lot of people who are complaining about the judgment of the fight, and I can tell you now, definitely Ankalaev, the way he handled it at the last two rounds, took it. He had Pereira up against the cage, so. Yeah, you'll have different opinions to this fight. I can tell you that now. But from what I saw, Ankalaev capitalized on his grappling, and that's what I was actually expecting more from Pereira, if you ask me. I thought maybe he'd bring in a little bit more Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I was actually expecting a little bit of more takedowns and a little bit more submissions, or just trying to get some more effort in that. But I didn't really see that. I saw some good roundhouse fighting, some all-round fighting, but I didn't really see what probably everybody expected, like all-out war, boards to the walls, basically. But we didn't see that. We saw a very careful fight. Both of them were very careful, and the way they handled, you could see it, Definitely, they were uneasy. They weren't really too sure how to move. But there were some great moves, definitely. But I know both of them could have done better, definitely.
I don't know these fights as well. I haven't been following UFC for a long time, but it felt like Pereira was just trying to stay back, and he was throwing a lot of kicks. He was throwing a lot of low kicks at Ankalaev's legs in the beginning. Not too many punches. So the first round was, maybe Pereira edged it a little bit. He got a few more kicks in. But second round, Ankalaev was like really pushing and like really forcing Pereira backwards. And towards the end of the round, Ankalaev got a huge punch in. I saw this move he did a few times. So he feints a knee. So he comes in with a knee, and then he hit Pereira with a right punch, and then he got him a big left punch on the head. Yeah, I was saying it looked like Ankalaev was the one pushing a lot. Pereira was like staying back and just throwing low kicks to Ankalaev's legs. In the second round, Ankalaev landed a really, really good punch. He feinted with his right, and then he got Pereira with a big punch on the left. He was the one pushing. He was the one really like going forward and like doing a bit more attacking.
Exactly. That's why he deserved that. He deserved this fight. And the bout. I've seen him do a lot more than what Pereira was doing. You're quite right. We expected a bit more from Pereira, especially when it comes to that. When Ankalaev in the last two rounds got those underhooks and had him up against the cage, there wasn't really much capitalization from Pereira himself. He didn't try and get out of it. He just stood in that position and held him there. And that is probably why Ankalaev, or the fight went to Ankalaev in all the rounds basically. I didn't see too much of involvement or engagement, engagement from Pereira's side. You know, Ankalaev was in there and he was hungry and he wanted this and he got it. So this is.
So why do you think Pereira? It looks like he wasn't fighting his normal style, right? I mean, you said he's got more jiu-jitsu grappling, but as me watching that Pereira fighting for the first time, I would never even guess that he had any grappling skills. I think he preferred to stay far away and strike and kick.
And do stand up, yeah. I was also quite surprised to see that attitude in the fight. You know, I would have also expected him to go more like takedowns, take him to the ground, do something different. You know, and not like we always see him. You know, I think he was relying a lot on his punches and his low kicks to maybe break his legs. That's why he was giving him so many shots. But you know, me coming as a fighter, it's a lot of pressure. You know, when you're in that fight, so you can't really see what is going on actually, you know. So I think that maybe he was going more for points. I'm also like that. I like to go for points, take it to the distance, you know, and win the fight by points. And I think he was going for that. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but he was looking for more kicks and more punches, and those are all points at the end of the day that you're scoring. So I think he was looking more for that, where Ankalaev was more engaging in the actual fight, like getting in, grappling, having those underhooks, you know, coming in with that big punch, like you were saying, you know, and like we saw in the second round. So it's difficult to say what went through his mind, because when you have so much pressure after so many championships, you know, it's understandable to be a bit stiff and gun shy at the beginning of a big fight, you know, because you don't know how this guy is actually really fighting, and then you realize like, oh my gosh, this guy is actually very good. You know, he's good, and then you don't understand what's going through that mind's fighter. What I saw was a very careful fight. Both of them were very careful in engaging with one another, because both of them are very dangerous fighters, you know. And that's what people need to understand. It's that it's not because we don't want to fight and we don't want to engage, we don't want to walk in there and get that punch. You know, one punch is enough to finish the whole round, you know. If you KO, you're not going to get up from that, you know. So both of them were very careful. I just found that Ankalaev was engaged more, especially in the grappling, you know. And that's what people, I think the judges, never mind the people, I think that's what the judges wanted to see. There's more engagement like that, grappling, real roundhouse or round fighting, you know, and all round fighting, I mean. So that's what they were looking for.
Yeah, Ankalaev had definitely more takedown attempts, and he was, like you said, in the third and fourth round, he had Pereira against the fence, and he was trying to take him to the ground. I think Pereira did quite well to prevent him going to the ground. I mean, it looked like he just had Ankalaev's arm under his armpit, and that was his main tactic to prevent the takedown.
Well, yeah, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. You know, we must do it sometime with training, but if a guy got you like that with an underhook on both sides, it's difficult to get out. It is. It's like you need to first think, especially if you're not as progressed in jiu-jitsu as some purple belts, brown belts, and black belts, you know, how to get out of a situation like that. This is Ankalaev comes from a hectic Dagestan background, you know, those people do Russian Samba and things like that. So he was really worried about getting taken down through that grip, all right, through that underhook. And you can understand why he was just standing there. He's like, oh, you know what? I'm just going to stand up against the cage and not let him get me to that point, because he's a very tall guy. You know, Pereira now. I'm talking about Pereira. He's a very tall guy. It's hard to take him down. And that's where Ankalaev was struggling a little bit to take him down because of this. So both of them had it was good. He defended it well. He engaged well. You know, Pereira defended it well. Ankalaev engaged well. But it's difficult to get out of an underhook take or takedown out like that, you know. It's very difficult. It's not easy. So people can't really complain, because I heard a lot of booing, you know, in the background as that was happening, and I was like, oh guys, if you could only understand what situation this guy is in. He has to worry about getting taken out, you know, and you can stand like that for minutes just to get out of the, you know, you're waiting now, maybe he's going to get tired, let go, give me some space. But no, none of them were barging, none of them was giving any space, especially Ankalaev. So it was hard for him to get out of those underhooks when he was up against the cage. It's not easy, that I can tell you.
Yeah. So look, I think the judges gave a unanimous decision to Ankalaev. So you know, I also felt that he was the one pushing a bit more in the fight. He seemed to land a bit more. He was trying for takedowns, trying for grappling, got a few more knees in, got a big punch in. So, I mean, I'm not an experienced fighter, but it seemed like he sort of edged that fight.
Yeah, definitely. It seemed close, but from what you could see in all 5 rounds, there was definitely more engagement from Ankalaev.
Mm. So let's talk about the other fight of the night, and this one was the blockbuster. I mean, this was a real proper dogfight, exchanging of punches. And this is Gaethje versus Fiziev. Yeah, I'm not. So first, before we go into that, so this was it was not a championship, not a something on the line. It was just a normal fight, but it was the second main fight of the evening. I understand Fiziev was called in 12 days before, so I think
Yeah, it was short notice, so yeah, it was short notice. Yeah, yeah. And he fought like a beast, considering that he came in at such a short notice. Both of them really gave it their all. I mean, geez, that knockdown in the very first round on Gaethje was something. Wow, it's out of a movie. It looked really good, but Gaethje got up. He handled himself, and both of them went the distance, which that's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter win or lose, you must always take your head off for both fighters for even getting in there and doing their thing, the pressure, the adrenaline, the people, just the people, all eyes on me, it's hectic. It's really hectic. So the performance, I think that would have been the fight of the night, if you ask me.
that was definitely the fight of the night. So I would say Fiziev won the first round because he had that great takedown and he almost got Gaethje into like the guillotine or something. I mean, they were grappling on the ground for a bit. But the second round is where I thought Gaethje really took it because he landed that massive uppercut. He sort of like feinted in, then he had his left hand, his left arm on Fiziev's shoulder, like basically keeping his head there, and he landed this huge uppercut. I mean, that was for me, that was like what decided the fight.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was and he actually kept going with those uppercuts. So he's very dangerous when it comes to close fighting. Don't get too close to Gaethje. He's a close combat fighter. Okay, so it's not like he doesn't come in with fancy kicks. I mean, yeah, we've seen him perform really nice kicks and all of that, and being really all round, hands on. But he's a close combat fighter for sure. And coming in with those uppercuts, because it wasn't even in that second round. I mean, even at the end, he finished up with all these uppercuts. I mean, that's why he definitely won that. I mean, he landed every single one of them, I think. It just really, wow, 1, 2, 3. Those uppercuts were in there. It was great. What a good fighter. I know he's a close combat fighter, but for Fiziev, I must say, for the short notice that he's coming, he's a beast. He's a beast. Absolutely. Both fighters were really good. That was excellent performance from what I've seen.
Well, I'm impressed that Fiziev actually got up from that uppercut in the second round. He and then he in the third round he wasn't too bad. He was getting a bit more punches in, but yeah, I mean, I was just amazed that he could get up from that. That was like a proper connection.
Yeah, both of them got hard chins. Both of them got hard chins because even that first fight from that first punch from Fiziev at on Gaethje I thought that was a knockout, but the man got up again. I mean, they got both hard chins. You have to be really tough to take those punches, honestly. So, but yeah, hard training pays out. Hard training pays out.
So maybe some stupid questions from my side. How come this was only 3 rounds? This particular fight.
Oh, because it wasn't it wasn't for the bout. It wasn't only the bout championships. Okay, I'll go up to 5 rounds. Right, the rest of the fights they just go up to 3 rounds, 3 5-minute rounds. So yeah, so that was just. I mean, Gaethje was champion at one stage, if I'm not mistaken. Was it against what was his name? Pereira? I mean, those two had it out for a while. They had to have like 3 fights or something like that to kind of decide which one was the best. And I think Poirier won it at the end. But Gaethje was, I mean, he was just, and he's a simple guy. When you see him in normal life, You know, it's like me, glasses on, looks very like, hands on, like I don't want to say, but we like computer, like a little computer, geek. That's what he looks like in real life, just like me. So, anyways, you wouldn't think that he's a fighter underneath, and he can really take a punch. My goodness.
Mm. And do you know why Fiziev was only given 12 days notice?
Yes. I think who was he supposed to fight?
I think it was Hooker.
Yeah. Dan Hooker. Sorry. So Dan Hooker pulled out due to injuries, if I'm not mistaken. So he only got to, he wasn't the only one. Another two also pulled out just a couple of days before the fight. So this UFC 313 had a couple of challenges, I must say, but considering that a lot of fighters had to drop out, it was a very nice evening, a very good evening.
Does this happen often that that fighters pull out just before the fight night?
No, it can happen. Anything can happen. I don't know. It's either training too hard. Normally, like, some fighters can go out to the end, but you're supposed to take at least 2 weeks off before your fight, and just don't do anything. Let your body recover from all the hard training that it's gone through. It can, I don't know. Some fighters, I don't know. They just spar a little too hard and get injuries through that. Cracked rib. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. I remember I got into it was actually a bar fight, but it wasn't me. It was literally not me. I was just in the middle of all this and got caught in a bar fight, and I had a broken rib, like a cracked rib. That was 1 month before my fight. I couldn't tell anybody. It wasn't like anything pro or anything like that, but I still went into that fight. It was very tough. So with a pro fight like that, you need to be 100%. If anything is wrong with you, that the opponent could get advantage of that. Take advantage of this, and that's what you don't want. Go in with an injury. That's the last thing you want, is going into a pro fight with an injury. So it can happen. It can happen often.
But this was a blockbuster fight. I mean, the guys were just exchanging punches, and both guys were going at it. It was not a cagey, careful affair like the main fight of the night. These guys were just guns blazing. It was just such an amazing spectacle to watch.
Yeah, that's why it was so exciting. It was. This is something what you would expect from Justin Gaethje. I mean, he's a very explosive fighter. And both of them are very explosive fighters. I mean, I think I saw, what was that? That spinning elbow was something insane. I mean, so yeah, it was really very good fight. I was happy with it. Definitely more happy than with the Pereira fight. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I thought Pereira was going to take it, but having seen Ankalaev in that fight, I'm thinking that Ankalaev could be the next legacy, coming up if he keeps fighting like this, But although I did say both of them didn't give it their all, I know I've seen Ankalaev in more hectic fights where he's more of a beast. They were both very careful.
Very interesting. So Dennis, thank you for helping us with the commentary. We look forward to the next UFC 314, and we'll get some more commentary in. This is a new show that we're starting, guys, on this channel, so we're just getting used to it. It's going to improve. But Dennis is an MMA fighter. He does kickboxing, jiu-jitsu.
I always say, guys, if you want to start a martial arts, don't start with mixed martial arts or Krav Maga. Start with the foundation, like karate, kung fu, even judo. It's like always a very good ground foundation to have before you get into like MMA, because MMA is what it says, mixed martial arts, But every martial arts has a beginning. So for me, it was kung fu. I've been doing it for over 20 years. And, after that, I went into jiu-jitsu and then realized, oh my word, my ground game has actually improved so much since I started jiu-jitsu that I carried on with jiu-jitsu, and it was an art that I didn't really like because of the way you're getting smashed. You got somebody's chest in your face, and it's really uncomfortable positions that you are in. And I must say, thanks to jiu-jitsu, I feel a bit more comfortable in sticky situations as well. Not just in the cage, even in real life, it helped me a lot.
So there you guys have it. Gracie Jiu-Jitsu is not just a fancy name. It's actually very, very useful. I'm still at the beginning stage. But Dennis here has his blue belts. He's very advanced. But
Oh no, no, no. Yeah, you see now with the blue belt, for after you get your blue belt, that's actually your white belt. Then you know the blue belt decides if you're gonna stay in jiu-jitsu or not, because there you're gonna work your hardest. I can say that. I've had that blue belt for a couple of years now. I started at SPG Bedford View with Sergio De Freitas, and also very good. He also came from more of a kickboxing background and went into jiu-jitsu, trained with the Gracies in Brazil, you know, with the big boys. And he taught me some things, quite a lot of things. And then obviously I had to go, I had to leave, and went to Gracie, where I had the opportunity to compete more. And I've learned so much at Gracie Jiu Jitsu, and I'm still at my blue belt level. I haven't even gotten my white stripe for blue belt. That's the deciding factor. Once you get to blue belt, that is your deciding factor if you're going to stay in Jiu Jitsu or not, I think, because everything else after that is just very technical, and it'll only become harder, not easier. So I don't want to discourage anybody, but this is what it's all about. It must be harder so that you can, overcome that. Absolutely.
well, we're very grateful for your insight because you know a lot more about fighting than I do. To the viewers out there, watch out for the next UFC commentary with Dennis and myself, and we are going to improve as we keep on doing this show. But till then, ciao for now.
Bye. Thanks for having me, guys. Thanks, Deepak. Have a good day.